Patrons, listeners, fans, and followers from around the world. It's me, Jeremy Alexander Newsom, with my good friend Brian Masterson, and we have a very special guest on the podcast today. We're going to be introducing him in just a few seconds. We're going to be discussing the future of podcasting, and it's going to be absolutely exceptional. So my good friends, with that beautiful hat on and those phenomenal headphones, tell everyone who you are, what you do, and where you're from.
Yeah, so my name is Etieene Crete. I do a bunch of things. So I'm a podcaster, trader, vlogger. I've been through a lot of stuff. I've been trying out a few things over the past few years, and I kind of started to stick to what I love the most, which is video and podcast as well as trading. I started to combine everything at the same time, and I'm from Montreal, Canada, and traveling pretty much all the time, which is kind of interesting for sure.
Yeah, you travel a lot. Where are you right now?
Yeah, I'm in Poland right now. Just got here yesterday or the day before, and yeah, first time in Poland. So
Poland,
nice,
very cool, man, very
nice.
Cool.
What brought you down the journey of vlogging and podcasting? Obviously, this is a new kind of landscape for people to really be diving into. I remember getting involved in podcasts probably about 5-6 years ago is when they really started picking up mainstream, and now you see all these vloggers out there. But what led you into the industry, I guess?
Yeah, so for me, everything started with like trading, and the first thing I started to do is I started to try to learn by myself trading. I tried to read books, I tried to watch videos and stuff, and learn from different people, but I couldn't get it, couldn't understand how to make it work. And then one day I started to meet traders in person, started to talk with them, see what they did, like real people. And I figured out that I could learn much more this way than by reading myself, watching videos, and that the way to go was really to talk with people. And I said, well, I can try to talk to people like this, like in person or call them, but they might not answer. They might not be able to talk. And I thought, why not make this public a podcast? Then they would have a reason to talk to me, of course.
Yep.
And I would be able to make this bigger than just myself and help other people at the same time, which is kind of how it started. And then I just did one, and then I got kind of the addiction to it, and I just did the second and the third and the fourth, and then just kept going to 150 or something. So that's how it works.
Beautiful, man. I love that, and that's kind of how you and I got connected. I mean, you had me on your podcast, so I felt it was only right to return the favor to some form or fashion, and ask you a little bit about the future of podcasting, and let's just kind of hypothesize, because that's what we do a little bit on the IR4 podcast, as we discuss the fourth industrial revolution. We're in it, where it's going, what it looks like. So, I mean, in your opinion, I mean, has it always been a thing? Like, or is, like Brian saying, has it really been taken off in the last 5 years or so?
No, I'm pretty sure it's only 5 years. I started to listen to podcasts myself maybe 5 years ago.
Okay.
And it took a long time for me to start it. But then I thought this was like a new thing that just a few people listen to. But then I didn't really try it. And then I tried to listen to one. And then this led to like finding that there's a bunch of them online. That you can learn pretty much about anything you want. You can hear anything you want any time of the day. And I just did it more and more and more. And now I'm still listening to podcasts these days. So it's been like the past 5 years pretty consistently, I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think the beauty about podcasting is that you can find any specific topic that you're looking for.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really user end friendly, meaning I don't have to go to a news station and watch TV or listen to something on the AM, FM radio about maybe I like the station, but 40% of the time they're talking about content that I don't necessarily like. But I can really narrow that down with the podcast and listen to that specific topic for as long as I want. I think podcasting is just another step into this direction of self-content and what you are creating, you're putting out there. Jeremy and I don't really monetize this podcast. We do it because we like helping educate. If there is some type of financial income coming in, it's going to be to create this or to help enhance this to be a better product. But there's people who are making millions and millions of dollars in this industry.
Of course.
Yeah, which is great. It's huge that it's gone as big as it is. Brian, do you remember the guy named Adam Carolla?
Adam Carolla, yeah.
Dude, he has the most downloaded podcast ever right now. He was really like an underground comedian, and then just did this podcast continuously for like 5 years, and just like skyrocketed. So it was pretty incredible to see his success. For sure. What platform, Etieene, do you think is the most highly viewed or highly listened to form of podcasting? Is it YouTube? Is it Apple iTunes? What do you think?
I've heard iTunes was kind of the best, but for me these days, it's definitely YouTube more than iTunes. And I tried to go the podcast way only first thing, because I just wasn't comfortable doing videos at all. I couldn't speak in front of the camera. But then I went video after, and since the past few months, I've seen my YouTube go way over the podcast in just a matter of a couple of months.
Oh, really?
Which is amazing. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Okay.
And it's funny because I don't think people would listen to YouTube like on their car on the way to work. They listen to podcasts going to work, going to anywhere they want to go to the supermarket.
Yep.
But for some reason, YouTube still seems to be more popular. Maybe because of the video factor, or people want to see other people speaking.
Right.
But
what's the name of your YouTube channel?
Desire to Trade.
Nice.
Yep. Desire to Trade. So yeah, I should have thrown that out way earlier. But Desire to Trade is Etiene's podcast, his YouTube channel. Is where he's focusing on, again, interviewing people who trade all around the world. And I know you've spoken to a lot of cryptocurrency people as well. So we got to talk about that at some point, my man.
Sure.
But where do you think is what about SoundCloud? How does that compare to YouTube, or do you use SoundCloud at all?
I've never published it. Well, I've published a few podcasts on SoundCloud, and I didn't do enough, maybe, but didn't get much traction. So sure. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, YouTube is an amazing platform, ready to go, built. I mean, it is solid. It is a solid platform.
Yeah.
Now, are you able to monetize anything with your content on YouTube right now? For example, is it? I don't know. I've never learned the ins and outs of how to monetize the content you're putting out there. I've only heard stories about, you say or do certain things and they demonetize your video, or they take it down, or whatever it may be. But I feel like you're kind of restricted and limited in what you can or cannot do. But with that being said, how do you get paid?
So I've had a time where, some of my videos that perform really well and they produced some money in the past, they were kind of demonetized for some time. They had a couple of issues a couple of months ago, but now I think it's been fixed quite well. And most of my videos are monetized. And I don't say anything bad in my videos. I don't put down people. I don't scream or do anything stupid. But I think in general, it's possible to get monetized on YouTube for whatever you do. It's not going to be a bunch of money for sure. It's not my main source of income for sure. And I don't expect it to be that way. It's only from ads. But I have other ways on the side to monetize that for sure. And that's kind of the beauty of it. So you also have to do it, I think, for people, not just for yourself and for money. Because if you just try to get the most money on your YouTube account, it's not really going to be conducive to doing it long term, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, makes tons of sense. So all the people that you have interviewed and you have worked with and talked with in the past, what is the, in your opinion, or I guess in your collective opinion, what's the views on cryptocurrencies, digital asset, Bitcoin, things like that?
That's probably going to be the worst talk about this topic, because I don't really got into it. I spoke with maybe 2 people who were willing to go into it and trade cryptocurrencies. Sure. And the other ones were just more on the side, waiting for more confirmation. We as traders, we're not gamblers. And Jeremy, you know this. So we don't just jump on things and try to trade. We understand that it's like a business. We go through the steps. I think that's what most people go through now, the steps of looking at the market, see if it's going to work or not, and getting to it after, if it's really going to work for the future.
Yeah, makes tons of sense. I mean, that's it's all about the trend and how long it's been established, and that's marbles, by the way. You probably hear marbles. But yeah, man. So you're in Poland right now. Are you in Poland for visiting clients or at seminars, or why are you in Poland?
Now, this is a place I was recommended to come visit, and I just decided to come visit it for a few weeks. Sure. I'll be here for 2 weeks and then head out to a different country.
Now, did you study in Canada, in Montreal? Then did you graduate from university at all? Or?
Yeah, in Montreal. Yeah.
And what was your area of study?
I was doing a bachelor in supply chain management in commerce. Yeah.
Supply chain management. Man.
Now, are you also working in that industry as well as doing this on top?
No.
Strictly trading and vlogging and podcasting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
which is kind of my goal and my dream. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you're living your dream. How are you going to keep the dream alive right? And what is the next step in your career as being a trader, vlogger, and podcaster? I guess before we get to that question, what's the best way of getting started? How do you just record yourself and upload it? How, if one wants to get involved in podcasting, vlogging, recording content, and introducing it into the world, where do they begin?
Yeah, it's kind of a cliche advice, but you kind of just have to do it. And my first videos, my first podcast, I was just terrible at it. I was just shaking to speak in the microphone, shaking trying to record a video. But I just did it, just uploaded it, and I kind of knew I was bad. But I was trying to force myself to see like I was good.
Right.
And I just did one, and then the second one. For me, it's all about consistency. You do one, the next, and you just move forward. And that's the same thing with what I do now and what I've done in the past.
Hell yeah. Good for you.
Makes sense. What about this new the app? Have you heard of Anchor? ANCHOR? This guy right
I heard
there?
that before. Yeah. I've heard that before, yeah.
So it's supposed to be this new podcast. So to answer your question, Brian, for people who are looking at getting into or interested in creating a podcast, this, like I said, this app right here, Anchor, right there. So ANCHOR. The weird guy, by the way, is Rumicube. Anyway, Anchor is you click on it and it'll upload, like it does music for you. It does intro music for you, like it does like clapping, applause. You can record it right from your phone. You can also call in to someone else right on the phone and talk to them like you're talking to them on the phone, and it records the whole conversation and then it uploads it to their database. So it's a really, really interesting innovation in podcasts, because that's what a lot of people are struggling with when they want to create a podcast, is they want to try to figure out like, what platform do I go on? Do I go on YouTube? Do I go on iTunes? How do I upload to iTunes? Do we do a Patreon like we did? Like what avenue do you go with?
Well, here's something that I've taken notice in that I'm sure you guys are both good at. Me, on the other hand, I do not know how to edit worth a lick. But you're going to have to chop up some things, and if you're adding sounds or little sound bites and things like that, if there's a platform that can assist you in doing that, I feel like that's where we're going. I feel like the human attention span now is definitely less than 30 minutes. Remember when we used to watch 30-minute sitcoms on TV?
Yeah.
Now people are going to YouTube and watching these shows, if you will, these vlogs for 8 to 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. They're quick, they're easy. But another thing that keeps you sucked into the YouTube is the recommended videos on the right, because you're sitting there, and during those dead times in the vlog or whatever, you start looking over, oh, that looks interesting, and then you just get down this time warp of just watching video after video after video.
Yeah. Who's some of your favorite podcasts to listen to, Etieene?
I listen to a bunch of them, but I would say one of my favorite one is from Peter Voog. He's a kind of entrepreneur, teaching another entrepreneur like more on the younger side how to like thrive and these things, the productivity, mindset, all these things. So
sure,
it's kind of what I listen to. And it's kind of funny because it's like a short podcast as well, not too long.
Right.
Which I think is good for some people. Some people like it. You cannot like do anything on a short podcast, but it's definitely good for some people.
Yeah. I mean, so here's one of the things, Avi. Are you a fan of the Joe Rogan podcast?
No, not too much.
No, but have you seen it? Have you watched it? Do you know what it is?
Yeah, I've heard a few.
It's man, 3 hours long. Like it is an event, like a marathon to get through one of his podcasts. And it's almost like this exclusive, like he's the only person that does anything that long. I mean, it's kind of incredible. And I will admit, I have watched a few of those, like all the way through. A lot of them are really, really good. But anyway, that's interesting. It's an interesting format. What do you think the shortest format of a podcast will be in the future? Like, do you think they're going to have like 2-minute podcasts, or like, hey guys, so we got Brian Masterson on. Brian, what's your favorite quote? Go. Like, do you think it's going to be short, or is it going to go longer? What do you think the future is going to go into podcasts? What's your vision?
I think it has to stay like moderate, like some level of length. Mm-hmm. So YouTube videos started to be really short in the beginning, like those were like 1 to 2 or 1 to 5 minute videos.
Yeah.
And then now they're getting a little bit longer. It's like now it's like 10 minutes or more sometimes. So I think that's probably for me the best idea, the best format. At the same time, you need a combination of everything. So you need some people to do it longer to get some insight you wouldn't get on a short thing. Mm-hmm. And you need some people to do it quick so you can get your news or your stuff quickly daily.
Sure.
If you want.
Sure.
So I think you need everything.
Yeah.
There's no way to like shortcut this to one format.
How do you think most people consume podcasts? Do you think it's at the dinner table, or on the couch at night, or before bed, or in the morning in their car, or the gym? Like, where do people actually listen to podcasts the most?
I cannot say for everyone, but like what I hear people reaching out to me and for myself, it's either like on the way to work in their car, or let's say walking or exercising, whatever, to the gym or outside. They put in the podcast, try to exercise, and that's kind of how they do it. But yeah, anyway, it's fine. Like there's no that's the funny thing. You do it anywhere you want, so there's no restriction.
Yeah,
just come pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I mean, just the amount of content, like Brian was saying earlier, that's out there is incredible.
Yeah.
What about? I mean, let's talk like 40 years from now. What do you think this looks like? The podcasting space. I mean, what would that? What happens in 40 years with podcasting? Does it become as popular as radio, where every single station, instead of a radio station, is just a podcast? Or do you think more and more people do it? Do we upload our ideas somehow onto some like bank, and you can choose from ideas from like this giant website? How much thought have you given?
Yeah, I didn't think about that too much, but it's an interesting topic. So I think like you see a lot of podcasts who start and then they stop and they don't continue moving forward. Probably because there's some difficulty in making a podcast for the long term. You have to keep uploading, keep doing these interviews or talk if you want to talk. So there's some effort involved for sure. So not everyone can do it for like at any time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, more people get into it. It's kind of easier with these apps to do it. So I'm pretty sure there's going to be more and more podcasts on that. And it's just how people to have a better connection with different personalities that might be closer to themselves, which is, I think, awesome. And you get different ideas from different people you wouldn't have heard before, which is always interesting, in my opinion.
Does Pandora or Spotify, do they offer podcasts? Because I actually do not know the answer to that question.
Spotify, yeah. I'm not sure about Pandora, though. But Spotify, yeah.
So what station do you look up? You just type in podcast and you can get whatever you want, or do you have to type in like a specific genre of podcast?
On Spotify, you just type in whatever keyword you have. There's a section for like podcasts where you can kind of discover new podcasts or see what podcasts in different categories. But in general, it's like more search.
Interesting. I mean, that's because I'm trying to think like what about TV channels? Like right now, the TV channels, I could see a TV channel that'd be a podcast channel, right, Brian? Where every day that people just put on different podcasts that are live. I mean, kind of like an ESPN or like some type of rerun. Well, what's your thoughts on that, Brian?
Again, I think that the more that you can keep the audience engaged, and the longer you can keep them engaged with your content, not necessarily with the platform. So we have these different platforms, and you're uploading your content into a platform, but then you have to dominate that platform in order to be the head of your competition.
Yeah, agreed.
So, I think an interesting concept, which I think we've referenced before, is having a decentralized platform where it's not centrally owned, and each person owns their own content and controls their own content. And, I know there's age restrictions that come into play and things of that nature, but people who are listening to this podcast can donate through our platform, right?
Yeah.
People who are, and I think now, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think people now can donate money on YouTube. I think there's a way of doing that now. So if you're the end user and I'm listening to all these podcasts, I would love to be able to donate towards that show, because instead of me paying for my cable company, and this is way 10, 15 years down the road, instead of me having to pay a monthly payment to this cable company,
right,
where yes, I have a variety of options, but if I watch one or two things and that's it, I want my money to go to those people because I appreciate what they're creating, what they're doing. So I think you're going to see this elimination of, or not elimination, but maybe a revamping of what the platforms look like right now. Still have the same functionality as uploading, watching, things of that nature. But the amount of money YouTube and Google are acquiring is insane. And you also have to look at the data.
Data's huge.
This is all data that we're creating. It's video and audio data. And the more data that gets uploaded means the more they have the leverage as the centralized party, right? So they're able to track and see what we're watching, how long we're watching it, what are the recommended videos, things of that nature, where you subscribe to. So what are they doing with that data? You know, that's huge. Big data is a big-time moneymaker. We just saw it with the Cambridge, what was it? The
Cambridge thing with Facebook, yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, I don't know if our information and data is being sold to outside people from YouTube. I wouldn't deny it, though. I'm sure there's something going on there. You know, think about this: looking up how to create a homemade bomb. You know, looking up how to do these certain things. If someone's watching all these videos, that's a red flag. That should be Central Intelligence should be flagged. Hey, let's go look at this guy. Maybe put some surveillance on him. If we're talking about national security. So again, there's these fine lines as to personal data. You know, shit with the sense of privacy and whatnot. So there's a ton of different challenges and hurdles that we're going to have to face in the next couple of years to really be able to architect the way we want this landscape to be for the best of everyone, for everyone's safety, everyone's monetizations, viewing pleasure, all of that. There's a lot of factors that go into it.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm actually going to pull this up really quick. I'm going to find out how much data does YouTube store every day. What do you think, Etieene? What would be your guess?
It's going to be a lot of, I don't know. They just store everything for sure. Like they think about everything they can store and they store it. Whatever it can use for later, I think.
It's got to be huge.
You guys remember, I mean, Etieene, how old are you?
23.
23. So you're old enough to know the days before YouTube.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean, think about when we didn't have video in the manner and the ease of access now too. Yeah. I mean, it's just completely flipped the way we absorb content upside down. You know, it used to be, and everyone thought, and if you study trends, right, and you know, that's kind of one thing that Jeremy and I do. You do it on the trading side, Jeremy, but when the actual television was introduced into the American public, everyone thought this American television was going to rot the kids' brains and totally just screw up every family. Yeah. But now I see people like, oh, well, there's a YouTube for kids, and when you go to and you give your little child an iPad and they click on YouTube for kids to keep their mouth shut and not screaming in the restaurant, people are like, oh, well, that's ruining the family because now they can't talk with one another. Sure. To each their own, but these innovations advance the human race moving forward. So you just have to be able to decipher what is okay and what's not okay for the betterment of everyone.
Absolutely, man. You're 100% right. Yeah. So 1.3 billion people use YouTube, and there's 300 hours of content uploaded every minute, according to this one online source I'm reading.
300
hours a minute. A minute. That is unbelievable. I mean, I'm just wondering, trying to figure out the scale of YouTube. Where do you think YouTube goes from here, Etieene? Like, what's I mean, do you use YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Periscope, or have you used any of those platforms?
Yeah, I've used pretty much all of them, but I now stick only to YouTube Live, mainly because I prefer it. I just found people to be more engaged in YouTube Live as opposed to Facebook Live, where they can like scroll and go to something else in 2 minutes.
Right.
While on YouTube, they tend to stay there and they tend to chat more, so that's kind of the one I prefer now. And people can search back to your video after if they want to see it, so it stays there for the longest time you want, which is kind of interesting.
Right.
You know, one thing I've noticed with different vloggers and YouTubers is that, well, I say YouTubers, but just let's say social media impacting people, you find a niche, right? You find what platform you're going to excel at the most, and then you get the other ones just to enhance it, right? So you have to have this because you want to capture everyone. But I do feel once you find your niche, like YouTube, you stick with it and you just become a master of it instead of just saying, I'm going to spend some time over here on Facebook today, and on Tuesday I'm going to spend time on Instagram, and try to break up your time. If you know who your audience is and you know where you're getting most success, that's who you stick with.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally right.
I love it. That's very, very interesting. Man, so I mean, Apple iTunes, I'm trying to think of, they haven't really had that many recent innovations recently, have they?
Well, they came up with I started listening. They came up with like new stats for your podcast, where you can now log in and see your stats and the downloads and stuff for iTunes, which is kind of interesting. I didn't look too much into it. I didn't try it out too much, but that's kind of what they work on. They work on more ways for podcasts to be discovered by people, more search stuff. Now you have I think kind of a text you write as a summary people can search for, so something similar to that. But yeah, there's not much new to it, and I don't use iTunes myself too much. So
that's very interesting. iTunes is providing your data set so that it can better help grow your brand and your product. YouTube, do you have the same features where you can look up the assets of what you're doing, how many people are watching? That data is given to you then?
You have like way more on YouTube. You have a lot more on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Even now they roll in more data. We can see like the click-through rate, you can see everything you want, which is pretty interesting on YouTube. It's even more than I think any other platform you could think about.
Wow. Well, there you go.
Dude, YouTube's massive, man. YouTube is insane.
Yeah.
Do you have to pay to be? Because I don't actually use the iTunes. Like we do a podcast through a different program, which is Patreon. Do you have to pay monthly to be to upload their data, or have a subscription?
No. So what happens is that you have to create a RSS feed to send to iTunes, and then from there it's like free for them. They put it on iTunes. But for you to get the RSS feed, there's ways to do it for free. But I just pay with Libsyn, which is a company that they provide podcast hosting. I pay with them a few dollars a month, pretty cheap.
Nothing.
And they just create the RSS feed, maintain it, and then you can send it to whatever podcast directory you want. So iTunes, Stitcher, all these TuneIn, whatever thing you could think about.
Gotcha. Okay, interesting. Other question. So if someone's starting a podcast, whatever that podcast might be, whatever topic it's about, how long do you think they should go with it before they just either just quit, give up, or try something brand new? Or is there an amount of time that they should never ever do that? They just keep going for? Like, is 2 years too long with like 10 viewers, or 3 years, or is it a month? How long should people pour into this?
The only reason why I think you would give up is if you really hate doing it. If you try to record interviews or try to talk on a podcast and you hate it for real, then don't do it for sure. Stop, do something different. It's not the right fit for you. But if you like doing it, even if you have no one watching, I just like to talk with traders.
Sure.
And I could talk with 100 traders per day. I just liked it.
Yeah.
So I just kept doing it. So for me, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And of course, like, just stats, they grow automatically. You don't have to think about them. Over time, they just get larger and larger. So yeah, the first few months were pretty low. I didn't have any people listening. But when you start from zero and you have like 200 people listening, it's already amazing. You already feel great.
Yeah.
And then you keep going because you want more, and then more and more, and it just grows over time.
So, two-part question. The second question I asked before, which I definitely want to get to, the next stage in your career as a podcaster and YouTuber, what does that look like, and how are you going to get there? So let's start there, and then I'm going to say the second question. It's a doozy for both of you.
Okay. So one thing I've noticed over the past few months, and it's just kind of recent, is I started to do more interviews in person, like one-on-one, meeting people in their city or wherever they live, or they could come to my city, whatever, and do these interviews in person. I saw a huge difference in having people listen and watch or interact, and people say it seems like this more as opposed to just the casual thing on Skype where you talk with someone over the other side of the world.
Yep.
There's something different, and people kind of like it. So that's probably what I'll try to do more. Although it's harder to maintain, like do these all the time, it's really hard to. You can travel and maintain this, but it's tougher.
Are you combining the vlog element with the interview so people can watch, the travel and what you're doing, and you're going and experiencing this new city, but the apex of that trip or the highlight of that trip comes down to the actual interview that you're looking for? And
interesting. Nice.
That's a nice idea, but I didn't think about it that way. But this is a good way to see it for sure. So there's some place where I meet traders for sure and I interview them as much as I can, but it doesn't happen in every country, every city. So like here in Poland, I know pretty much no traders. So I'm not sure I'm going to interview anyone. I just travel for myself because I like it. And I just do these vlogs, which are kind of like educational videos with lessons and the travel that I do on a daily basis. Because there's so many nice places to visit that I kind of want to show them to people following me at the same time.
Yeah.
And just teaching trading at the same time. So that's kind of what I combine. And then the interviews can be more on the side because they're longer. They're like an hour to an hour and a half.
Sure.
And there's more content involved. So I prefer to do them separately. And especially now more and more live on YouTube. So I've seen people, they tend to stick longer, watch longer, love better these interviews when they're live. Because they can ask questions directly to people that are there with me. So I tend to do more of those now. And it seems to be working well.
Awesome.
I love it. What was the doozy question, Brian?
It's not really a question, it's an idea, and I just want to get your opinions. So, Jeremy, I think we've discussed in one of our past podcasts when it came to VR and AI, but, I think people are attracted to a vlogger because they're seeing something that they don't normally see. That person can have a great personality, like, hey, look where I'm at today, I'm doing this, I'm doing all these fun experiences, and it's almost like an escape from that person's real life to go over here and just, whether it's just take a reprieve, a 15-minute break from their day to go see what that person's doing. There's almost like this cult following, right? But what if you add the element of actually being there instead of just watching a guy film himself? There's something where you can film what you're doing, and then you put on a VR set. And and it feels like you're there. And you, Jeremy, we can go down this rabbit hole, and you have the vest and everything, and it rumbles or whatnot. But then the vlogger, if you will, is actually going out into the real world, doing these crazy things. But that the person who's seeing the vlog is seeing it firsthand, and it's almost like a separate kind of experience than just watching what that person does and talking to the camera.
I love it. No, that's a great proposition. I mean, I think that is certainly capable of happening with augmented reality, virtual reality. That's why I love Facebook so much. When Facebook bought Oculus, that's when I really took them seriously as a company. I mean, I made money off them before then, but when they bought Oculus, I mean, think about Etieene and them having like a virtual reality goggle where you're able to link in a room with all of your friends, sit at a table, and they're not there, but you can see them, because you're all like on a personal Skype almost, but you can see everybody. Everyone's right in front of you. If you saw the Kingsman Circle, if you watched that movie, they kind of did one of those where the people are in the chairs, but they're
with the glasses.
But it's a hologram.
Yeah.
I think that is entirely possible, and people being able to live through that experience with the person having the goggles. That's where we're going in the future. I mean, being able to experience something in real time from totally points across the world. Podcasters, vloggers, and entertainers, I think, really will be on the forefront of that new age and that new technology and that new experience. For sure.
Even it may start from a very simplistic viewpoint of creating some type of avatar or caricature. And you can go into a virtual meeting room. And this can go beyond podcasting. So you have a business meeting. And you can virtually see people here. But this gets boring. This gets stagnant. But, okay, now I'm in an actual meeting room, sitting at a table. I can look around and I'm seeing all these different things. It's a different experience. It takes you outside of the comfort of sitting here. And you're actually in another virtual world. And you have to, actually pay attention and stay on point because all your senses are focused in that one spot.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it absorbs you a little bit more than just watching.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Are you gonna be one of those leaders in TN? Is that gonna be you? You gonna be doing that?
It'd be interesting, of course. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Man.
But I mean, think about creating like not a meeting room, but like a classroom, and it's only you, and you are on, let's say, the New York Stock Exchange. You're on the trading floor. And there's people running around, and it's all quiet besides you, and it's like some kind of animated thing. But you're teaching your lessons, and it feels like when people put on their headsets or what, it feels like they're on the the trading floor at the New York Stock Exchange, and they're just like, "Wow, this is crazy," and they're listening and they're absorbing all these trading lessons. It's that's what I'm saying. It keeps them more focused than just here's a guy talking about how to trade. Well, here's a guy. I'm wearing a headset. Here's a guy talking about how to trade, but I'm in the actual environment and I'm watching what's going on. I think people would be more would want to experience something like that versus something over here, depending on the person. Again, attention span is much not slower now, but quicker.
Smaller,
right? Smaller. And you have to keep those people focused. So the more senses you can stimulate, I think the more engaged they stay.
And I think to some extent, people might get better results with that because they're in the environment that they have to be in a more serious place, in a good environment for trading. Maybe they get more results. I don't know. This is kind of up to some extent, but possibly, I don't know.
Man, it's
interesting.
Think about if a company created so Google Maps, me and you could go in Google Maps and we could watch anywhere in the world, more or less. Think about if the company came up with like a landing strip or a landing pad where they would put in different places in the world where you could upload your VR and pretend like you're standing there. So anytime anyone wants to come, they could go stand right in front of the Eiffel Tower and they can look at it and see like what it looks like at that exact moment in time. I think that's right around the corner. Because you have technology right now with like Carvana. They bought a company not too long ago. It was actually a pretty cool app that you can sit in a car because Carvana is like an online car purchase, but you can sit in it and turn your head and look around, look down at the steering wheel, and the whole time the camera knows how you're moving, and it's like you're in the car. And that's intense. That's right around the corner, man. Being able to visually and virtually be in that element somewhere in the world visually.
Even like those pictures on Facebook where you move your phone like this, it's a
right.
Like that is those panoramic and 3D.
Those are cool.
The 3-dimensional 360 views of where you're at.
Yeah,
it's just it's here. It's already here. Now, how do we apply that to the tools we already have to make it even a better experience?
Ooh, I know.
It's right. That right melting pot of those two is right there. And I haven't seen it yet.
We got to figure it out.
It's going to be very interesting.
We got to figure it out. And Etieene, we got to figure it out, man. We got every episode we come up with a new business idea.
That's very true.
Perfect.
We'll just start calling this podcast newbusinessideas.com.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Dude, thank you so much for your time. Believe it or not, I was almost 40 minutes.
Pleasure.
So good speaking with you. And again, thank you for taking the time. I know it's late over there in Poland. I know you're getting tired. Man, I appreciate you immensely, and I look forward to working with you more in the future.
Everyone, make sure you check out Desire to Trade YouTube channel.
Yes, absolutely, especially for any of my traders out there in the world. Very, very good podcast. Great in content, great episodes. Folks from around the world, thanks so much for tuning in. You are all amazing, and until next time, love, live, learn. You're all wonderful. Bye-bye.